My 2011 Freightliner Cascadia. You can see here we have a 10-speed, and it's really pretty simple. Just the biggest thing that I learned is don't overthink it. It's not as hard as I tried to make it out to be. You've got your gear pattern on the doghouse, and you also have the gear pattern here on your shifter. Basically, what you have is a 5-speed with low and high. This being a 10-speed, it just has a high-low range button on the front of it, and you can see that it's air assisted. So right now it's in the down position, so we are in a low range. If you pick it up, you can hear a little puff of air, and it puts it into high range. Down is low. Okay, so you want to start out in low. Now there's two different ways to shift a big truck. You can see you got your clutch, your brake, and your gas. The first way, and when you go to take your test, DOT wants you to double clutch. Now what that consists of is just pushing in on the clutch. You've got it in gear. Generally, if you've got a trailer on you, you start out in second. So you're going to let the clutch out, and you're going to start moving. You give it gas, just like you would a car. Just think of it as a car. So you're going to wind it out in second gear. You're going to push the clutch in, let off the gas, push the clutch in, and you're going to pull the shifter into neutral. And let the clutch out, and then step on the clutch a second time and pull it back into third. And then let the clutch out again. Alright, that's double clutching. Okay, so now we're in third. We're going to wind it out, just like you would in a car or a pickup truck or anything else. You're going to push the clutch in, go into neutral, let the clutch out, push the clutch in again, and go to fourth. It's just that simple. Now, when you go into fifth gear, as soon as you go into fifth gear, pick up on that. That's going to put, that's called pre-selecting your range. You're in fifth gear, okay, you're winding out in fifth gear, pull up on that, and then, just like you have been doing, wind it out in fifth, push the clutch in, put it up into neutral, let the clutch out, push the clutch in a second time, and then look at your gear pattern here. You can see here, first is also sixth. When you've put it into high range and you wound it out in fifth gear, you're going to go back to first, which, because now you're in high range, that first is now sixth. It's just that simple. And then you continue on through the gears just like you have been doing. Push the clutch in, push it into neutral, let the clutch out, push the clutch in again, and go to the next gear. How do I want to explain this? As you're slowing down, okay, let's say you're in 10th gear, you're slowing down. You still want to double clutch just like you've been doing, but what you're going to do is push the clutch in, push it up into neutral, okay, let the clutch out, push the clutch in a second time, and rev it up just a little bit, maybe just a couple hundred RPMs, and then put it down into ninth. The difference between these transmissions versus a car or a pickup truck or something like that is these transmissions are not synchronized. That's a topic for another video. But as you're downshifting, you want your RPMs to be up a little bit higher to compensate for the fact that you're going into a lower gear. And then okay, now we're in ninth. Okay, we're going to slow down a little bit more, and then just do the exact same thing. Push the clutch in, pull it up into neutral, let the clutch out, push the clutch back in, rev it up just a little bit, and pull it into eighth and let the clutch out. It's just that simple. Now, as you get better, a lot of drivers will tell you, well, a clutch is only for starting and stopping. Well, as you get better, you'll start doing what they call floating the gears, and you don't use the clutch. in that situation, okay, let's say we're starting out, we've got a loaded trailer, we're in second gear, okay? As you wind it out, your RPMs are going to get to the point, and you want to have a little backwards pressure on the shifter. And when your RPMs get to the right point, you can just kind of just pull it right out of gear. It'll just fall right out of gear. And then what you want to do is let off the accelerator a little bit as you're going up through the gears. You want your RPMs to be a little bit lower when you're going into the next gear. As you're downshifting, like I said, you want your RPMs to be up a little bit as you're going into the lower gear. So floating the gears, okay, you've wound it out in second. Like I said, you'll feel it, and it'll just come right out of second gear. You let off the accelerator, and it'll just drop right into the next gear, which would be third. Now that's something you just got to kind of get used to, and you'll just learn it on your own. I had another driver tell me a little trick. Let's say you're pulling up to a stoplight, and it's red, and then it changes to green. Okay, let's say you're doing 40 miles an hour, and now the light has turned to green. Wow, man, you've got 10 gears to choose from. What gear do you want? Okay, look at your speedometer. Add the numbers together, and that should equal the gear that you should be in. 1 plus 5 is 6, so you should be in 6th gear. 2 plus 5 is 7, you should be in 7th gear. 3 plus 5 is 8, you should be in 8th gear. 4 plus 5 is 9, you should be in 9th gear. And then 5 plus 5 is 10, you should be in 10th gear. So let's say that in that scenario we've slowed down to 40 and the lights turned green. You could either go to 9th gear, or you could go to 8th gear. You're kind of splitting the difference there. With a loaded trailer, I would probably drop it down into 8th, so you've got a little bit of power to start accelerating. And really that's all that's to it.
Right now I'm going to demonstrate how to do a coupling and uncoupling. We're going to start with the uncoupling of the tractor and the trailer. First thing that you have to do for uncoupling is you have to ensure that the ground around your landing gear is going to be able to support the weight of the trailer once you disconnect from the trailer. Once you know that the ground will handle the weight of the trailer, we'll bring it down until it just touches the ground, and then I'm going to back it up 1 turn, and then we store our handle back where it belongs. We want the gear to float, the legs to float just a little bit, and the reason we want that to happen is so that when we separate the tractor and the trailer, we can actually feel the trailer and watch the trailer settle, and then we know that we're separated from it. We need to disconnect our air lines and our electrical lines. Before we pull our air lines apart, we'll check inside the truck and make sure that the brake buttons are both pulled, indicating that the brakes are set. We come back to the air lines. You just push the air lines straight up and separate these lines and the electric by grabbing it on the wings and pulling it straight up. Then we want to take these air lines and we want to store the air in the electric lines so that they are safe. They're not going to drag on the ground. They're not going to get caught up inside of our drive shaft or get up in with the tires. We'll store that one in the dummy head or the glad hand handle, and then we'll lay the other one up so it's not dragging on the ground. Once we have the glad hands and the electrical line stored, the next thing that we want to do is we want to get up underneath here. We want to pull the release handle. So we pull our release handle and we lift it up and lock it in place. And we would check and make sure that the lock-and jaw has been unlocked by the release handle, and the lock-and jaw will retract off of the kingpin as we pull the tractor out from under the trailer. When we do start the truck and pull forward, we're not going to use the red brake button. because we do not have an air line connected between the tractor and the trailer. All we would do is bleed the air out into the atmosphere. Now that I'm ready to go ahead and pull out from underneath the trailer, I'm going to put the truck in gear, release only the yellow parking brake button. I'm going to ease my clutch out nice and slow. And I'm going to watch for my trailer to settle. When my trailer settles, I stop, put the truck in neutral, reapply the brakes, and then I can come back and I can check to make sure that my landing gear is supporting the trailer. If it's tight, it's doing what it's supposed to do. I always want to try to leave my fifth wheel skid plate up underneath my apron just a little bit. That way, if the landing gear has an issue, all I have to do is back right back up underneath the trailer and lock it in, and I can pull it to the shop and get it fixed. Now we're going to go ahead and recouple the tractor to the trailer. First thing that we want to check is to make sure that the tractor is lined up properly with the trailer. The best way to do that is use the straight edge of the trailer and compare the distance between the edge of the trailer and the edge of the tires on the tractor, and you got to do both sides. Until we hear the lock and jaw lock, we're going to put our truck in gear, forward gear, and we're going to tug on the trailer a couple of times to make sure that we're locked in. Then we'll apply the brakes and shut the truck off. Take the keys with us, because now what we have to do is check the lock and jaw and make sure that it's properly wrapped around the kingpin where it's supposed to be. And for this, you need some kind of a light. And we can see that the lock and jaw is held in place. Now I'm ready to hook up my air lines and my electrical. When we hook up our air lines, we'll check our seals and we'll make sure that our glad hands are free of debris. The handle of the glad hand goes in an upward position with the seals matched up, one seal on top of the other, and then we rotate the handle around and we lock it down in place. We do the same thing with the red glad hand. Match up the seals, rotate it around and lock it down. And then we're going to do the same thing with our electrical. We're going to check inside the electrical, the connection box and the cord itself. Going to line up the tabs, push it in, make sure the tabs overlock and it locks itself in. The next thing that we want to do is go ahead and start the truck back up. Three-point entry getting into the truck. Clutch is in, or truck's in neutral. Brakes are set. Clutch goes to the floor. Start the truck up. Ease the clutch out. Push in the trailer brake supply button. Leave the tractor brake set. We can come back and check for leaks. Going to listen to it and we'll feel and make sure that it's not leaking. At this point in time, we can start pre-tripping our trailer, top to bottom, front to back, side to side, and the whole undercarriage of it. As we work our way back pre-tripping, get back here to our landing gear. We're going to jack the gear all the way up. And we're going to store our handle. As we continued our pre-trip, we would make it all the way back to where our air lines and our brakes are, and we could also listen for air leaks back here.
We're gonna back up to this spot right here, and we have that trailer in front of us. I don't know if you guys can see it. So let me show you guys. That's the spot we want to back up into. That's where I'm at. It's a slant 45 or a slant parking spot, but we got that trailer in front. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, the way I'm set up, you already have to be like in front of the trailers. You can't have that much of a gap. ¿Entendés? You can't have that much of a gap. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back up and I'm gonna set up over here. I'm gonna set up over here, all right? And then set up the back up. So I'll probably be over here somewhere. Because the closer you are to the spot, the more space you have to swing out into the passenger side, right? Antennas all the way to the front, so that will have a lot that comes into effect as far as me backing up as well. Right there. All right, so what I did was, if you look at the back is, there's still a gap between the front of the trailer and my trailer. That's fine. The reason I just kind of came in straight, didn't really set up, because I need room on my passenger side to go wide. And you'll see that as I back up. So I feel like I'm good right there. So immediately, I'm gonna start turning the wheel to the right to bring the back in, but yet think about the overhang that I got because of the antennas being to the front. So así me voy haciendo para atrás nomás. Está bien. Vamos a aquí enfrente, ¿no? I'm already inside the box. All right, so let's look over here on the passenger side. There's plenty of space over here. So let me show you guys what I did over here. You can see the tire marks where I started up here. I don't know if you can see them or not, but they're squiggly. I started to the passenger side, then went back like this, came back, and then went back to the passenger side, came back and back to the passenger side. Hopefully you was able to see it when I backed up. Now let's look at the other side in the back. Let's go this way. Pretty tight. All right, look at the space over here. I'm not worried about the overhang. Plenty of overhang over here. I mean, plenty of space over here for the overhang. So at this point, what I'm gonna do, you're not running the risk of hitting the other trailer because we're at a 45. All right, we're at a 45-degree angle, slant parking spot, so we're good. So at this point, I'm gonna start bringing the front in, straighten the trailer out. I'm gonna start straightening the trailer out, but still look at the back while I'm doing the front. Because if I need to kick the back still so it doesn't get close to the front of this trailer over here, then I'll do that. So as you record me, look at the tires, how I move the tires and stuff.
All right.
And small movements, small corrections. Since I look back there, the space that I got, I'm gonna turn my wheel to kick the driver's side away from this truck, this trailer, from Warner, all right? And that'll give me room on this side, because I know I got plenty of room on the passenger side.
More than enough space. Get under it.
Able to back it in pretty smooth. I don't know if you noticed the movements on my tires. They were very little and very slightly. All right, and I was able to catch it before it happened. So you always got to anticipate. As you can see over here, the space, we're pretty even. We're pretty even here. Now let's look at the other side. Plenty of space here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shift it, because I am that type of person. I can't just have it lean to one side. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it up, I'm gonna shift it so I can center it, because that's just me. I gotta have my trailer centered, and my students do the same. And I tell you what, any student that has been on my truck, that has been one of my biggest pet peeves, one of my biggest requests, one of the biggest things that I do, all right? All right, guys, if you notice, I did my three-step thing. I went to the right to slide, to shift the back of the trailer, went to my left to straighten the trailer out, and then back to my right to get under it. And if you look over here, I think I did pretty good with the space that I got. Now, if you notice, I turned the wheel a lot more than I was moving. I was only moving enough, and then I was turning the wheel hard, because with the space that I had between my front of the truck and the trailer, I had to react a lot quicker. So I had to anticipate a lot quicker as well. So right now I'm just gonna back it up, and then we'll see where I'm at with that.